Banff National Park is the most beautiful place in Canada. It's famous for its turquoise glacier lakes and majestic mountain peaks. 4 days is the perfect amount of time to see and enjoy all the incredible sights and experiences of this iconic destination. But if you have some extra time or want to explore some of the less visited mountain gems, throughout this video I'm also including some options in the itinerary where you could also add a visit to Jasper National Park for the full Canadian Rockies experience. Or I've also included an option to explore a hidden gem that's far less crowded but just as enchanting. Starting with your arrival in Banff, you'll check into your accommodations. If you need recommendations about where to stay, a few of my favorite places are the Canalta Lodge. The prices are pretty good and they've got hot tubs and saunas and breakfast is included. I like the Moose Hotel because of its cozy mountain lodge vibe, and again they also have a great rooftop hot tub. Elkin Avenue is decently priced for being right downtown. Peaks Hotel is newly renovated and walkable to everything. And if you can afford it, the Banff Springs, which is the legendary castle hotel for a luxury stay. One thing to note is Banff is very expensive to visit in the summer. We're talking on average $500 per night. But I've got a whole blog post on the best cheap places to stay in Banff that are actually pretty nice and not run down. So that's linked below, or you can also scan the QR code that's on the screen. Your first full day in Banff is best spent by exploring this charming mountain town. Start with either a sunrise hike or just a morning hike at Tunnel Mountain. It's a family-friendly hike that's open year-round. It leads to a viewpoint overlooking the town of Banff and the surrounding landscape. So it's a perfect way to start your Banff itinerary. Then stroll through downtown. In the summer, the main street is closed to vehicles, so it's a fun pedestrian-friendly atmosphere. There's great patios and epic views of Cascade Mountain in the distance. I recommend finding a place for lunch on Bear Street and also visiting the Cascades of Time Gardens. It's a beautiful mini botanical garden area and admission is free. You could also take a food tour at the Banff Castle. This is a great way to see it if you can't stay overnight there. Then take a trail walk to Bow Falls. You can walk here from downtown. The trail follows a forested area along the Bow River, and there's some really nice viewpoints along the way, including great glimpses of the Banff Castle. For the remainder of the day, take the Banff Gondola up Sulphur Mountain. Up top, there are multiple boardwalks to enjoy panoramic views of the Rocky Mountains. Sunset is also great up here if you can time it right, and there's a restaurant up here too. I also recommend grabbing yourself a copy of the Guide Along app for only $6. It's an audio tour guide to the must-see sights, viewpoints, and recommended places to visit in and around the town of Banff. It also shares stories and travel tips, and you can bundle it with more places like the Icefields Parkway and Jasper National Park for the whole Canadian Rockies experience. On day 2, you'll visit the iconic emerald lakes that make Banff so famous, Moraine Lake and Lake Louise. It's going to be an early start though. The absolute best way to experience the beauty and magic of these lakes is by starting at sunrise at Moraine Lake. Moraine Lake is one of the most visited places in Banff National Park, and when you get here, it's one of those true take-your-breath-away moments. This is the most beautiful lake in Banff, and it's a must-do in my opinion. Basically a non-negotiable. Now there is some planning required to get here, and it's really only accessible from June to early October when the road is open. You'll have to take a shuttle to get to Moraine Lake though, since private vehicles are prohibited. So I recommend using the Moraine Lake Bus Company. They run 7 days a week and are the go-to option for sunrise shuttles. And honestly, they're just way more efficient than the Parks Canada shuttles, so there's no waiting around in line at the end of the day. They've also expanded their fleet this year, so you should have no problem booking a spot. You should still book ahead though, don't leave it till the last minute. I've left a link to the Moraine Lake Bus Company in the description, or you can scan the QR code, and there you'll find the shuttle schedule, rates, and how to book. And if you can't make it for sunrise, that's totally fine. Just go as early as you can in the day, or catch one of the last shuttles at the end of the day. Once you're here, you can do the fairly easy climb up the Rockpile Trail to the famous viewpoint. Or if you'd like to spend more time and hike in the area, I would recommend Consolation Lakes. That's an easy hike. Or Larch Valley for something more moderate and longer. It's going to take you about 4 hours round trip. You can also go canoeing on the turquoise water for that quintessential Canadian Rockies experience. It's not cheap though. It's about $140 for a 1-hour rental. But since it's a small lake, that's plenty of time to do it, and it's also a great way to escape the crazy crowds at the main Rockpile Trail. After this, you'll visit Lake Louise to take in the stunning turquoise lake surrounded by mountains. Also, if you don't want to visit Moraine Lake or you don't have time, you can also use the Moraine Lake Bus Company and hop on one of their direct to Lake Louise shuttles. Lake Louise is another iconic lake and a little easier to access, so it definitely gets crowded. If you don't hike, you can have brunch or lunch at the Chateau Lake Louise, enjoy a stroll along the shoreline, or go canoeing on the most vibrant water you've ever seen. If you do want to hike, you've got multiple options ranging from easy to strenuous. The easiest being the Lakeshore Loop, and the most popular hike is the Lake Agnes Tea House Trail. Honestly, it does get insanely busy, and I do think it's a little overhyped. If you do want to do this hike, definitely add on the little beehive portion of the trail. It's just a bit further, and the view is awesome. I also recommend the Fairview Lookout Trail. It's not as popular, but I think the views are still fantastic. It's about 1 kilometer uphill, and it should take you 45 minutes round trip. You get lovely views of the hotel that could be right out of a fairy tale. And then either have a meal at the chateau or head back into town for the rest of the evening. Since day 2 was an early start and quite busy, I recommend day 3 being a little more relaxing and chill. Johnston Canyon is a great spot for hikers of all experience levels. It's an easy trail that meanders along catwalks and pathways, and they wind along these limestone canyon walls, and you get stunning views of rushing turquoise water below you. Back in town, stop in for a soak at the Upper Banff Hot Springs. If you love mountain hot springs though, I highly recommend driving to Radium Hot Springs. It's an hour-and-a-half drive west, but it's through a gorgeous mountain pass. Radium is a tiny Swiss-themed mountain village with a massive hot springs. It's a lovely off-the-beaten-path mountain destination with way fewer crowds in the summer. I have a few videos about Radium Hot Springs that you can check out for more details. An evening wildlife tour would be a great way to end day 3. If you have a car, you could drive down the Bow Valley Parkway, but if you really want the best chance of seeing a variety of wildlife, I recommend booking a small group tour with a guide, because they know the area extremely well and where all the animals hang out. Now, if you have limited time and you can only spend 3 days in Banff, this would probably be the day to cut out from your itinerary and skip to day 4. On day 4, we take a scenic drive along the world-famous Icefields Parkway, one of the most breathtaking stretches of road in the world. This highway connects Banff National Park with Jasper National Park, and it's got jaw-dropping views the entire way. Here are a few top spots I recommend you visit. Peyto Lake is a beautiful stop. It's a nice area for photos and to stretch your legs, or even go for a dip. Also, if Lake Louise and Moraine Lake are just too busy or you can't fit them into your itinerary, this is the next best alternative. Peyto Lake is a short hike to a stunning overlook. Here you'll get a bird's eye view of the vivid blue lake cradled by the mountains. The trail is paved the whole way, albeit a little steep, especially if you're not used to the altitude. But this is one of the most accessible, breathtaking viewpoints in all of the Canadian Rockies. Then we get to the Columbia Icefield. There are 2 popular experiences here. One is taking a tour of the ancient Athabasca Glacier. You'll do this in a massive ice explorer vehicle, and then you'll get to walk on the ice that's thousands of years old. Then we've got the Glacier Skywalk. This is the glass-floored observation platform that's cantilevered over the cliff. For a better idea of what you can expect, watch my full Icefields Parkway video. In that, I share all the highlights and best places to visit along the highway, as well as my thoughts on these 2 activities. If you want to visit Jasper National Park on this itinerary, this is when you would head there. You can either stay overnight at the Glacier View Lodge, which I highly recommend, and it's at about the halfway point. Or you can continue onward about another 100 kilometers to get to Jasper. I would recommend staying 2 nights in Jasper, but you can definitely get a lot in if you only have time for 1 night. For more ideas, check out my video on the top things to do in Jasper National Park. If you're planning your first visit to Banff, I have a few other videos that go over essential tips to know before visiting, as well as when I think it's the best time of year to visit. I also put together a little 4-day itinerary cheat sheet that you can download for free to help you with your planning. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.